I'm Corey.
And we are going to be giving a book review today of Divergent by Veronica Roth. Divergent is probably one of my favorite books. I've read it 4 times, I think.
And I just read Divergent like last week.
Because there's a movie coming out! So Divergent is a futuristic dystopian novel about Chicago. Chicago has been divided up into 5 factions. Abnegation, Erudite, Amity, Candor, and Dauntless. Your food, is rationed out. Everybody eats in a mess hall, or it's like delivered your rations each week for your family. Everybody wears the same clothes and stuff like that from different factions. And,
so it's
same
communism
colors.
in small chunks.
They decided a long time ago that the reason that the world was such a mess was because
Of certain things
that
humans did wrong.
Yeah, so Amity decided that it was because people were violent, so they vowed to always be peaceful. Abnegation said it was because people were selfish, so they were going to be selfless. Candor decided it was because people were liars, so they decided to always be truthful. Erudite decided it was because people were ignorant, so they decided to be intelligent.
Yes.
And Dauntless said it was because people were cowards, so they decided to always be brave.
Joey, explain to us what happens when you get kicked out of a faction.
You become factionless, which essentially you can work like driving trains, cleaning up the street and stuff like that, kind of like community service kind of
But
work.
you can't go into any of the factions.
And you don't get as much food. The story's about a girl named Tris, and she's from Abnegation.
In this world, when you turn 16, you take this aptitude test, and what it is they put you under and you go through this simulation. You make choices in different situations. The aptitude test will tell you which faction you fit best in, but then that night at the choosing ceremony you can actually choose whichever faction you want to enter, so you can stay in your families or you go into another faction. So Beatrice turns 16 years old.
She goes through the simulation and she finds out that she has aptitude for 3 factions, which is unheard of, and the lady who gave her the test tells her that she's divergent. But that divergence, it's really dangerous to be divergent. So then they go to the choosing ceremony and she chooses to transfer to Dauntless. And she has to go through an initiation there, and that's kind of what the whole book is about mostly. So in Dauntless initiation, one of the things that they learn how to do is hand-to-hand combat. Shooting guns, throwing knives, and they get put through a ridiculous amount of simulations about their fears.
Yeah, it reads your brain's worst fears and then makes you go through them.
It's
terrible.
Awful. Tris is 16. She is small and blonde, and she comes from a family she has a mom and a dad and a brother. You're all that was inside of Tris's mind.
Right.
She has these witty comebacks, and she says them, and you're just like, oh my gosh, that was so funny.
She's so impulsive sometimes, she just acts on her emotions. But sometimes she doesn't. She's super smart. Yeah. So she's a neat character.
4. So 4 is tall and kind of lanky and dark hair, dark eyes.
Stick out ears.
Really built, I'd say. Yeah, he really has his thinking straight. So I really like that about him.
4, he has the right view of Dauntless, where it's just be a selfless warrior.
Pretty much the only thing I don't really like about this book is that there's 3 or 4 scenes that are really steamy. Nothing actually happens beyond kissing.
But still, once romance kicks in, all of a sudden it's every other scene. It's I looked into his eyes.
Yeah.
His mouth touched mine. Okay. The other part that I didn't like super a ton about it was how graphically violent it was.
It was really violent, so I couldn't advise this book for readers probably under 16.
Out of 10 stars, how many would you give it?
I think I give it 7.5 to an 8.
I definitely would give it a solid 7.5, creeping up to an 8.
Thank you for enjoying Divergent with us. Come back next week for more book reviews.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Read it. Intense. So intense. Uriah is not going to be in the movie.
What?